So when I first started getting back into this, deciding, what, I need to figure out what these hominids are. I need to identify them and understand their behavior so I feel safer. I started strategizing and trying to find and understand like what route they would use, where they'd be what route they would use and where they'd be staying, and how they would get down to the plains from up here in the mountains. And that led me to looking on southeast facing slopes, because those are the ones that are going to be the most exposed to the sun, and the ones that are going to, one, the snow is going to melt the fastest. Two, there's going to be a ton of scrub oak along with cliffs. And three, like a lot of it's gravel and scree, so a lot of the tracks are going to disappear quickly. And of course, near water. Now that brought me here, which is further up from where we where I had the encounters. Maybe I don't know, maybe 5 miles up. But once you see the terrain here, you understand like 5 miles up into the canyon of like this magnitude with this type of rough terrain is pretty far. Anyway, so I would come through here, and I would normally go from behind me down, which is the least likely way a person's going to go, because that's going from west behind me down east further downstream. So if anyone's going to come up here, they're more likely to come from the east up west. But I would come down through here, and right behind me where all this vegetation is, this is where in the beginning, and I'd come maybe 2 to 3 times a week in the beginning or so, I would be walking through all these saplings behind me, and every time I get through this one spot, I'd hear whoop, just like that, not loud, not anything, but it was faint enough where I thought maybe I just assumed that it was like my coat, because I was wearing like a Gore-Tex coat, was going against like some of the pine boughs and just making that noise as it hit it. Right? So that was my assumption. But on the second time coming, I heard in the same spot, I started wondering, what could that be? Like what? Was it just my imagination? Or was it something else? So that led me on the third time when I came down here to be much more aware. And so of course I came down through here, and I made sure not to hit anything. I made sure to be aware of all the noises. And sure enough, when I got to that same spot, I would hear whoop, just like that. Not loud, not a scream, just really subtle. And so by that point, I realized, okay, this is real. This is real. And I thought, well, maybe it is them. Obviously, I had no way to be sure. This was all like just a guessing game at that point, and just trying to see like what route they would take to get down further to the plains. Anyway, so on the next trip, I come down here, I decided to do something different. Probably not the best way to go about it, but again, I wanted to see if I wanted to validate if I was hearing that correctly and if it had any purpose at all. And so basically, I came down here, and the whole way down, I went whoop, 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 and I just would keep doing that. A little bit different variations as I continued walking. I didn't hear any woos in this area like I did before, but something more amazing happened, and I'll definitely show you those pieces, those segments, because I recorded them like right after those events occurred. So I went further down, and then in one of the bends, and you'll see here like in the walk through this area how steep this some of the embankments are, and how almost like walls on both sides some areas of this canyon are. But I get around this bend, and I'm in this like kind of choke point. There's a wall here, not very many egress routes, and there's a bunch of trees and like willow and all kinds of other types of vegetation out there. And sure enough, so I'm walking around, and I just crossed the creek, and all of a sudden it sounded like a rock being hit against another rock. Bam! Or like a tree being broken, or like it's like a thunderous clap. Like it was so loud, like it sounded like a gunshot going off behind me. That's how incredibly loud it was. And so of course, I whip around, like I just whip my head around to look at the source of the sound, because it was right behind me. But sure enough, it was right around that bend that we'll talk about and I'll show you a little later. And as soon as I do that, I'm looking at the opposite direction that I was before, and then I hear something large on two legs walking away from me through the brush behind me. And it was maybe, like 30 yards, maybe less. Like it was really close, like so close. Like I hear, and of course, naturally, right? Like I whip right back around to the direction I was kind of facing before, and it just stops. It just stops making any noise whatsoever, and I can see, like, I feel like I should have been able to see how close, like, from the distance it was and where the wall was, that I should have been able to see whatever it was moving, because it was that close right behind me. So, as I come here, I've been doing little whoops similar to the one that was filmed in Utah, where it sounded like a baby one. And I'm hoping I got some responses. I sound like a rock being thrown, and or a gunshot, but I think it was a rock, or else I would have heard more. So I was moving as it was happening. On top of that, as I was like moving around, I stopped and I heard something else moving really close to me, just to like the other side of the canyon, like right behind me up by the rocks, just like the last time when I heard it. So yeah, and then I'm not sure if it's just something that broke, but a stick just fell behind me, like just a little one, and it might have just been hanging on me as I was walking through the brush. But definitely the walking and the rock throwing I heard. So hopefully I'm not aggravating them, because I am in a small little canyon with no way to escape if they decide to ambush me, or any animal for that matter. Yeah, something's walking. They're okay when I'm walking or talking loudly. They feel safe to move. So when I'm talking loudly or making noises or moving, then I start hearing them, because they're still big, they're still massive, and so they make noise even as they're creeping along. They're not like omnipotently silent, but they are super silent for their size. So I'm fairly certain they're around here. Haven't gone to the trail cam yet, but we'll see if this experiment works. Oh. So I'm going to try to be genuine, not be super afraid and on the defensive side, so that they feel less threatened by me. But make no mistake, I am armed if it comes to that. But hopefully it doesn't. I started realizing what was going on right then. I realized, wow, okay, it looks like the woos brought them in for whatever reason. That's up for discussion. And then basically I brought one of them in. I'm just going to assume it's the juvenile, just because that's been the one this whole time that's been the bold, ballsy one. And I think what happened is it came in with those noises, and then it got itself pinned down in that brush, and then of course another one had to come and like bail it out and make that loud noise to distract me so it could get away. Obviously it didn't get away, because I turned because I heard it, and it just stopped, and I wasn't prepared or about to go in there to verify. So even though I couldn't see and I felt like I should, it could have just been on its belly, could have just been holding still, like whatever reasons. Last time I went in there thinking it was like people, they got really aggressive and defensive, and that was terrifying for me. So this is second time having this kind of experience, but now I'm more aware. Now I realize, okay, it's probably one of them. They're trying to distract me so they can get away. So I am going to let it pass. And what I did is, and you'll see in the video, is I kind of looked around me like this in the area where it was at, to try to see if maybe it would start moving again with the camera out. but I didn't. Like, it didn't move for whatever reason. Maybe because the lens was back there. Maybe because I was talking. I'm not sure. Maybe because I was more aware now of the situation and they could tell. But whatever the reason, like, it didn't move, and I wasn't prepared to go back there and get like frightened. This hominid, and me get like freaked out because I wasn't ready then. I don't even know if I'm ready now. You know, I'm definitely ready to get closer and interact without like a Jeep or anything like that, and hopefully they are too. But at that point in my life, like, I was just getting back into this, trying to face my fears, and I had already had a bad experience the first time, so I wasn't about to repeat that again. So I just, I talk and I just keep going. So I don't want to deal with this. I don't. That's too much. That was too much, too fast. I wanted to build this up closely, and obviously it was too much, too fast for them, or else they wouldn't try to distract me and try to get gone away. So the woos, like the little woo, which subtle, seems to be effective in bringing them in, whether they're curious, whether that's the way they communicate, because obviously that's what I was hearing for whatever purpose that was. It worked. It seemed to work. So and because of the terrain, the way it's set up, if you don't use it properly, you can get backed up into a corner really quick, the way this hominid did during this engagement. So I continue walking to this area where I'm trying to build out a field side, and this is where I tried like the apples, different tests, and even like a game cam, a trail cam and stuff, and it obviously didn't work. But it was also winter, so there are many reasons why it probably didn't work. But as I'm getting almost to this spot, which you'll see in like the throwback clip, I hear whistling from up in the cliffs nearby me.
Well, this is pretty intense. It's about to cross the creek again, and I heard a whistle. It sounded like a person, but it's coming up from the cliffs. It's like a really subtle whistle, like one you'd make someone that's semi nearby. I'm pretty confident they're following me from up top, and I'm getting closer to the game trail cam, so hopefully I can keep them following me and set up the the food and the sticks to see if they enjoy that. At least they'll see me and be able to associate it with me, and hopefully that'll be a good thing in the long run. But that was insane. Okay, here we go.
And it's just like but it's much lower, a very low, like toned whistle, and it's just very brief, as if like you're trying to whistle to someone nearby you to get their attention. And that was like, like it sounds like they're following me, or they have the big group, and the way the way it's looking is in the direction that a person would most likely be coming from. And so that's like the most likely avenue of approach, and that would be a perfect sentry point to post yourself to look in that direction. But I came the opposite way, so like as soon as I'm right underneath them, then like I hear these whistles. I don't know if that has any correlation or not, but I heard it twice. So once, so as I was going away, and then again when I was coming back to just leave the area, and I heard in the same spot. It was shorter this time, but still the low whistle. And so basically, this is all like happening all at once, and I'm just my mind's blowing, because it supported the hypothesis that this would be like the area that they'd be around, right? And oh man, like it's still, even now thinking about it, it makes a lot of sense, but it's still awe-inspiring that they might very well be in this area right now. I don't know. But that's what we're hoping to, at least I'm hoping to see improve on this little recon trip. But so I come back a few days later, and this gets even more exciting. And I'm going to show you, I don't think I recorded this, but we're going to go look at it here momentarily when we get down there. But the area that I always cross by to get to this spot where it occurred, like right around that bend, a large tree had been pulled over, and it's just been torn from the roots out, and it went right across the path that I always take to get through this section of canyon that was right near the area, like right up, like right up ahead was the area where I had the walking away and the big, it's like a gunshot sound. And I looked for any type of indication to see if like a boulder came from the side and hit the tree, maybe wind, anything to explain it. And there wasn't like a very good convincing argument besides that what it looks like, my interpretation is that I'm assuming like the alpha came here and he just tore that tree down over the trail and it's probably still alive because the roots were halfway still in, and he just put it right in my way. And I remember thinking like, that's weird. What a coincidence that happened right here. And then I remember having like an epiphany, a realization that wow, maybe this hominid, they didn't like what happened, and so he was basically letting me know, because it was an area that I walk across all the time, that tree right there in my path that I take. And I think that was like a warning, like just letting me know, like don't come through here, or just try to tell me, because I was doing this consistently enough where the assumption is they were able to see me. And yeah, I guess that's it. As far as, it was a pretty wild ride. And then of course that eventually led up to like a few months later, having those interactions in the pebble throws, and them running up to the Jeep and smacking it, staring us down, stuff like that. So yeah, I think I covered everything, and I may make this into 2 videos, where one of them is the story, and then another one will be just the walkthrough down through here. So maybe I'll do that, just because it is getting kind of long, and we'll talk about other stuff in the walkthrough and kind of bring up this as I go along. But this way you get like the version pretty laid out for you, and straightforward. I know I elaborate a lot and I just go in all directions, but hopefully you guys got the gist of it. Anyway, thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, and share. Give me your opinions and thoughts. And school is almost done. Super excited. It means I'm gonna have a lot more time, and the weather's getting fantastic. Hopefully those are good omens for the future. All right, till next time.